and call the meeting to order. Tonight is Tuesday, December 8th, 2020. It is 5:30 p.m., our regular scheduled meeting in Mobridge City Hall. Heather, would you call the roll, please?
Mound. Here. Landrew.
Here.
Reichert.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
Yellowboy.
Yep.
Carlson.
Here. Okay, up next we have Pledge of Allegiance. Kyle, you have it. Have a little bit of a different order this evening. So right now I've got update and discussion on COVID-19 with John Ayub, who is our CEO of our Mobridge Regional Hospital. So John, I'll turn it over to you. You guys, when he's on the way up here, you guys all have a letter in your packet from John.
Caught me on guard, Gene. I thought you were going to summarize the letter, so I didn't have to read it.
I can. I'm sorry. Give me a minute here, John, if you want. In summary of the letter, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will get down to the meat of what we're talking about. John is asking us to pay attention to our 3 W's: watch your distance, wash your hands, and wear a mask. And the general essence of it is the hospital is full. And they're having, the hospital's full. They're transferring patients out, so.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me here today and putting me on the agenda. I also want to start by acknowledging that you have actually warmed my heart to walk in here and see all of you wearing masks. It feels like somebody read the letter, and I appreciate it on behalf of the hospital, the medical staff, the board. I appreciate you taking that action. I think what I really want to talk about today is a voluntary effort. I think we get caught up a lot in who can make who do what, and I think that is counterproductive and wastes a lot of time and energy. And I think really acknowledging that there is a problem and then asking ourselves, what can we do to help? And I think you've already started that. You've already done something by wearing the mask. I think that what we are planning to do, and I would like to enlist the City Council, the Chamber of Commerce, other local businesses, community members, community leaders, is to raise voluntary awareness and get people to commit voluntarily for the next little while of time to follow the 3 W's, to really watch your distancing, the physical distancing between people, wash your hands, and if you cannot maintain that physical distance, to wear a mask. We are really on the cusp of, the light is at the end of the tunnel. We're seeing vaccination. We are expecting to start vaccinating in our community our first healthcare workers next week. And so my point is, now is not the time to let our guard down. We have been through so much for so long, and as we prepare for Christmas and New Year's, as we move forward into the new year, if we could really take the time to focus our energies and make a final push. We've seen some really good work around the state, and our state numbers are trending in the right direction. Unfortunately, our county and some of our surrounding counties are not following that trend. So when you look at, I was here a month ago, and I think we were close to 100, just at 100 positive cases of COVID-19 in our county. In that time, today we are at 151 positive cases in Walworth County. That's not a good trend. What I told you last time was in October we saw cases going up. In November we saw the hospitalizations because of that. We are still seeing those trend up, and I'm a little concerned of what we're going to see in December, or the rest of December, and then into January. I am hopeful that people took precautions during Thanksgiving, but we're going to have to wait and see. So I wonder if there is opportunity for you as a council to either personally or collectively, assert agreeance with or commitment to voluntary compliance with the 3 W's. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, but really that is the gist of what I would like to convey, and hope that you will continue to. I appreciate your current activities, but we continue to push that forward in our community.
Okay, well, you know, John, and I will admit, I was at a basketball tournament, and these are kind of a trying thing to wear. Right now, my glasses are even fogging up as I'm exhaling, so, yeah, it's something I need to work on, and I'll help you out the best I can, and I'll try to set a standard, so. That's what I got to say about that. If anyone else wants to talk about it, by all means, go ahead.
It's gonna be 2 shots, right?
Yes, these first few vaccines that are coming out will be 2 doses.
First one will be probably next, pretty soon, you said, and when the next one's gonna happen?
So, you know, there is a schedule, there's an allotment, and so the state of South Dakota will only receive 7,800 doses of the first one. We are going to get a small fraction of that. Healthcare workers on the front lines will receive some of the first doses, and then over the course of time, we will make our way to the, you know, the populations that are more at risk, and then eventually to the population, the community at large. We expect the first doses to be done next week. So that is the, it's my understanding that that is the Pfizer vaccine. That would require a 28-day second follow-up dose. We will then get a Moderna vaccine the week after. That requires a 21-day and a second follow-up dose. I don't know after that, you know, what to expect, how long between shipments. You know, it really comes through the state, and then we get our allocation from the state.
Say, John, is there any side effects? Are you guys still finding out more information on the Pfizer vaccine versus the other brand? I guess that's what I'm wondering.
So when the CDC provides the final emergency use authorization, the EUA, they provide all of that information publicly. What we have seen so far is that the side effects are not, you know, that prevalent. You know, a smaller percentage get them than don't get them, and most of the side effects are very mild. I think the worst side effects that they have seen are some chills, some fever. They say the second dose is a little bit worse than the first dose, and they recommend that you take some time, you know, either half a day or a day off of work. It's unfortunate that those symptoms are the same symptoms. They mimic COVID-19. You do not get COVID-19 from getting the vaccination, but you can have chills and body aches and some of the same things that you would experience. And so they recommend taking a day so that you can convalesce at home, and then you're right back the day after.
Okay.
It's not a bad idea to talk about influenza shots too, right? While you got the platform too, flu shots.
Absolutely, and that is, you know, one of those things we advocate for every year. I think this year is probably as important or more important than any other year, but we do certainly have some available for the community. We and constantly encourage folks to do that. Not only because the symptoms can mimic and mask the COVID-19, but I think it's just good practice to keep us all safe during this dark winter.
Any more questions, comments? Okay, I do believe we have, how about you? Are you okay, John?
I'm good. I said I would stick around.
Okay.
If there are questions later, I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thanks.
We have Brian Reiner on the phone. Is he just ready to go?
Yep, he's just on the line, so as
Okay.
soon as you call on him, he'll make a statement.
Okay, Brian, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You have
I
the
just want to
floor.
say, I'm sorry?
You have the floor.
All right. Thank you, sir. I just want to say good evening, City Council. I really am grateful and honored to be able to speak with you tonight. My name is Dr. Brian Reiner. I'm also a lieutenant in the U.S. Public Health Service. And currently I'm stationed here in Mobridge. I've been stationed here for the past almost 2 years. I'm the clinical director at the Youth Regional Treatment Facility, and my wife is a psychologist at Fort Yates. So my call, the reason I'm calling is very simple. I read Mr. Ayub's letter, and I just want to echo everything that he said. I read through your ordinance, and you identified that about 50% of the population there in this town is susceptible. And I would even guess that given the median age of the individuals in this town, that it may be even more. So I just want to really kind of hit home that I do believe, I know it's not a popular thing, but wearing a mask and things like this I think is essential. I know it says in the ordinance that there are certain areas that people shall wear them, but I just don't see it. The only other part that I really like to say is that I would love to see more of a collaboration between the school, the hospital, and the city council. I know Mr. Mayor spoke to you, and I really appreciate. I had a nice conversation with once before. I've spoken to Beth Jensen, and I've also spoken to Mr. Frederick, and I just shared my concerns with each one of you individually, and that's why I'm just very excited to be able to talk to you. Because I think if there's a collaboration, as a father, I have 2 children in school, and my kids have been quarantined 6 times now. And I've asked them to put a mask mandate in because I think it's essential. I know that the high school recently closed down. So all I'm asking is that I thought the letter was very, very well written, and it really kind of echoes those of us who are working as, first responders and constantly. I know it sucks wearing a mask, to be frank with it, wearing a mask every day, all the time. But I just think it's essential to keep our community safe. And that's all I really had to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Okay,
Thanks.
thanks, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that'll take us into adopt the agenda, step 4. I believe, Kyle, you wanted to talk about pickleball under discussion information items?
Yes, just a quick note, I've talked to some of the tennis people, the people that originally partnered with the city of Mobridge to redo the tennis courts. It's been a number of years ago. And they seem to be okay with it. We would like to try to take one of those courts and make a pickleball court. One tennis court by itself will make 4 courts. So we're getting estimates together. Heather and I have been working on it. And just to plant the seed a little bit, that's what we're gonna try to do up there for this summer.
Okay.
We've contacted Land and Conservation for a grant.
Yep, we're gonna apply for that.
And we'll just see where it goes from there. You guys should have some information in the next 3 weeks. We'll send it out and if you guys have some questions. But that's kind of what's up. So if you're thinking about pickleball or been around it, it's something we're going to try to do for everyone. So.
Okay. So if there's no other additions or corrections on the discussion on the agenda, I'll look for motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Landrieu,
Yes.
Reichert,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Yellowboy,
Yep.
Carlson,
Yes.
Mound.
yes,
Okay, up next, we have approved minutes from the November 10th, 2020 regular meeting. They're in your packet. Everyone's had a chance to review them. If there's no questions or comments, I'll look for motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Reichert,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Yellowboy,
Same.
Carlson.
Yes.
Mound,
abstain,
Landrieu,
Yes.
Okay, up next, we have public forum and visitors. The first gentleman named is Derek Stewart with the Municipal Forestry Development Plan. This is also the opportunity, if anyone else would wish to address the council, to come forward. So I guess, Derek, you're up first if you want to.
Yeah, I guess, did everybody have a chance to, read it? If there's any questions regarding it, I can answer it, but opposed to going over everything from the packet. The concept behind it would be to fundraise for planting trees along the walking path that would help with like erosion. I think it was, either last year or 2 years ago, there's a segment that had to be moved further back. And there's a couple other areas that are close to that as well, within a couple feet. I'm an avid runner and biker along the walking path, so there's a couple other sections that look like you could potentially have the same kind of problem. With this, with planting trees, you would separate them, canopy style trees. Then in between those 2 canopy style trees, you'd have smaller shrubs. So you wouldn't necessarily block the view of the water, but at the same time, you create a root system throughout that entire walking path that could help with erosion. Think of like root systems like rebarb and cement, it helps from fragmenting and breaking and ultimately makes it stronger. And I think the walking path, is definitely worth saving. And I know it's hard to tell, like, that something's gonna happen to it when it looks pretty much stable, but if you actually go pretty close, you can see how close that embankment has gotten to that path. And it's kind of an idea of cheaply to fundraise to promote something that could protect that without having to have like a bigger overhaul in the near future. So if it's something that's fundraised through local businesses, it wouldn't be a tax on the community, it'd be based on who has enough concern or wanting to invest in it, you know, like a dollar donation. If it were to be approved, I would talk to Ace Hardware, I would talk to Runnings to see if there could be like a dollar donation, or anybody could call in here to say, hey, I'd like to put down $50 to the tree planting project in Mobridge to develop that walking path. And I know it's a bigger project, you know, per se, because it would take like 10 to 15 years to see a lot of benefits from it. But then in 10 to 15 years, you'd have canopy that would produce shade along the walking path, then also wind block, and it'd be more accessible throughout the entire year. It wouldn't raise taxes or anything like that, because it'd be a volunteer, and depending on how much influence that we actually get in commitment or involvement that would be excited to do this, would depend on how big the scope is, whether or not we make it throughout that entire space, or we tackle sections each year. One other thing too, that's kind of a idea that I had too, even if there's like a section of land in Mobridge that was owned by the city that's not being baled, so it's not producing any profit, but it's something that the city workers still have to mow each year or each week, you know, and we have to, you know, exert that energy to do it and stuff like that, just to segment an area where, hey, this is a tree planting section, and then try to, if that was approved, you know, talk to the community and do like a tree planting day. We did this where I'm from in St. Paul, in metropolitan area. It was a bunch of old dilapidated condos that were knocked down, that was in between an elementary and a high school. And the elementary and high school, the school district, got that, like, it was about roughly like 40 acres. And what they did was every single year, they had a tree planting day for the elementary and high school, where they produced all these trees, and now when you go there, it's like a micro forest biodiversity thing that's utilized by the elementary and high school for their science labs and things like that, and something that gives a lot of civic pride in your community because you did it together. So it's good in so many ways. It's probably harder to measure because you have this day that unifies the community, fundraises for local businesses, and then you could produce a little section that's not being utilized for anything else that could be developed into something that might be later down the road utilized by the middle school and high school and things like that to actually, you know, I don't know, like science, stuff like that day where they could do like a lab research, you know, in like a little biodiverse area. And it doesn't take much because it depends on city involvement, you know, so if there's a lot versus a little, it just depends on, you know, how much we're actually gonna be able to do versus how little we actually do. I know that's two different things. I think the walking path would be crucial right away. I talked to Cedar Soil out of Selfridge, and they gave a good list of plants, and they said that they could alternate what trees are planted. So let's say every 10 to 15 feet, there's a canopy tree, and in between those sections are smaller shrubs. That would give you root system throughout that entire walking path. And then in 10 to 15 years, you could have really nice shade, especially depending on, you know, both sides of the walking path if you alternate your big canopy trees. I know there's more pressing matters right now. This is before, you know, the world changed or whatever, but I think it'd be a great idea for Mobridge. Me and my wife aren't originally from Mobridge, but one of the reasons why we came here, you know, we were in the area and got jobs at the college, and we looked at Mobridge versus Bismarck, and we liked that small town community feel. And when we saw the walking path, it's really like a jewel of our community that I think really unites it. You know, and even for houses and other things with the railroad tracks, trees do block sound, and then they also block pollutants, which isn't necessarily the biggest concern out here, but if you're in a metropolitan area, you're like, oh, there's a train, and there's crud that train produces that goes all throughout these nice houses close by in the community. So there's a lot of different things that could be beneficial for, you know, simply just planting a tree and having a tree day. I guess that's about it. I don't know if anybody has any general questions. I'd be really willing to answer them.
When would you want to get started in planting trees?
I put down a kind of like a list of a time frame, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be set in stone. You can plant trees any time, really, and depending on the tree. you know, it might be better time to, like, the strategic plan on the backside. Like sometime in May, a community planting month or day. So if the city approves something, and then if it was approved in general, I would talk to local businesses that would want to be a part of it. We could buy the trees from local businesses that already have trees each year. And then we can also reach out to the school to say what day also works best for you. And then we can get student involvement as well. And it could be a much bigger thing. And I think that's not out of the question. I think that's a realistic thing that I think a school would be interested in being a part of. But it could be any time, whatever works best, because I know there's other projects that the city takes care of, so.
I guess I'm not seeing a huge issue or problem. It's a good idea.
Let's do it at the parks, we got some time, maybe you and I, Heather, could get together and just plan to do something like that.
Yeah.
You're
It's parks.
You're park man too, aren't you, Randy?
Yep.
Okay.
Randy's spent his whole life cutting trees down though. That's why I kinda didn't include him.
He got out of, he got out of that business, so.
Take them all down.
Yeah, okay. No, I think it's a good idea. I know for years, Kyle, you've probably been a few years longer, but thinking about riprap and stuff down there on the shoreline, but can't really do that, but, you know, tree roots do work, so.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I guess I think it's an okay idea, great idea,
Okay, cool.
so.
I think it's a
Thank
good
you.
place to start, I don't, you know, people of Mobridge probably don't realize, or haven't realized maybe is how beautiful it is down there with COVID and everything, there's just so many people down there. We were down there on Sunday, I bet there had to be 100 people go through that place.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, it's really nice to see the community out and.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, it's really, like you said, a jewel, it really is.
Probably have to stay away from ash trees though, isn't there some?
Yeah, there is certain types of ash trees that are, what's the terminology?
Manchurian is a resistant wood.
Yeah, resistant one, and this list here came from that Aberdeen,
Okay.
nursery that gave me the list of like different height trees and what has, you know, suitable for our climate and also for that Dutch elm and other kind of, viruses that trees could get, so.
You could get some wildlife down there, deer and such.
Oh,
Be
yeah,
nice.
definitely.
What do you do down there?
Well, I was just
Got
thinking,
more deer.
I was just thinking, because I believe it was a concern in our main park. We have a lot of ash trees, and isn't there some kind of ash?
Yeah,
Beetle,
traditional
borer,
ash trees,
it's-
yeah.
And it's not a question of when,
And is
it's,
that-
or not if, it's when it gets here.
Yeah, you have to get a variety of,
Okay.
that, there's new strains that are, I don't know if you'd use the word immune to Dutch elm. But the planters, when you go through them, they know which trees are best and which ones are immune to that Dutch elm, like on the back page here, it kind of indicates that. So that's definite concern that we'd make sure that we get the right trees so they wouldn't be, producing that, because I know that's just a hazard for 10 to 15 years down the road, you have to cut it down, you know, but, there is different kind of species of elms.
Okay. No, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, cool, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And then I'll just sometime,
Heather, yeah.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Stewart.
Anyone else wish to address the council at this time? Okay, I'll move us right into department head reports. Up first, Chief Sean Madison.
Good evening. I only have one thing on the agenda tonight, and that is to ask the council to approve a step increase for Officer Nick Bratland, increasing his hourly wage from $22.17 to $22.42.
Do you have any questions, comments?
That'll be effective December 7th. I forgot to put that on there.
Okay. So if there's no other comments, I'll look for a motion to approve the step increase for Officer Bratland.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Jensen,
Yes.
Gilliboy.
Yep.
Carlson.
Yes.
Mount,
Yes.
Landrieu,
Yes.
Reichert.
Yes.
That is all.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks, sir. Up next, Water Department, Kurt Schmaltz.
Good evening. I just got the one thing to approve the designation of the applicant agent for the FEMA grant for the intake project application.
Okay, any questions or comments on that?
So this is for a FEMA grant that we're gonna be applying for. They're due December 18th. It's a 75-25 grant, meaning they would pay 75%, we would pay 25. So the deadline on this is coming up, and Ted at NECOG is working on writing the grant, and this would rehab the intake. We're applying for 3 million. Is that correct, Kurt?
Yes.
3 million to do that. So if we were to get that, it would be huge for us. Ted's not real confident in it, but we're gonna try.
Okay, any questions? Okay, I'll look for a motion to go ahead and, approve applying.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Yellow Boy?
Yeah.
Carlson?
Yes.
Pound?
Yes.
Landrieu?
Yes.
Reichert?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
All right, thanks Kurt. Thanks. Up next, Fire Department, Chief Doug.
Good evening.
Hello.
The only thing we've got tonight is approval of officers for the next year. Chief is Doug Delaroy, Assistant Chief James Bieber, Secretary Treasurer Kelly Silbernagel, and Training and Safety Justin Sadler.
Okay, looks like the only change from last year is, Justin's your new training officer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, comments on the fire department officers? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Carlson?
Yes.
Mound?
Yes.
Landrieu?
Yes.
Reichert?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Yellow Boy?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Zoning November report, looks like we only had one building permit for a total of $2,000. That's in your packet, so. There's no unfinished business, so that'll take us right into new business. Looks like the first one up is public hearing and approval of transfer of temporary malt beverage license. It's in your packet, Mobridge Chamber of Commerce, it's the ice fishing tournament. I put this on the agenda to let the council vote on it, and address any concerns or comments that may or may not be out there. So they're looking at their ice fishing tournament, January 7th through the 9th. We'll be serving beer, Shearhouse Auditorium. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, why is it so late? You have 60 days. You missed it by. I mean, I think you guys should, put all your activities on, bring it to council, you could put it all at once, you don't have to be coming here. I mean, not coming here, but I mean, it'll all be done. I mean, that's what
One
you
and
have to.
done.
That's fine.
Was there a question as to whether you were gonna have the tournament, or is that why you waited, or?
Go ahead, this is the public hearing.
Jesse Cole, Tourism Chair for the Chamber. So there was delay. It was an oversight to get in at the 60 days. There wasn't concern of running it, we just didn't know exactly how we were gonna run it. And once we made the decision, it was the timing of getting it to Heather. And now that we know that we're able to do basically a one-shot deal of the tournaments that we know that are coming up, I think that'll allow this process a whole lot better. Cleanliness for you guys, not that we don't like seeing you, but makes things a lot easier. So, like I said, it wasn't a question of if we were gonna have it, it was how we were gonna administer it. And once we made that decision, then we submitted the application, which was delayed, so.
I've got a question. So, do we kinda got a plan, like we're gonna safely do this?
I do have a plan.
You know what I mean?
We do have a plan.
You know, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, we are aware of the situation and we are aware of the concern and we're conscious of that and we get the the want to know of what we're doing. The great thing is, and I think it is public now, the Chamber of Commerce applied for a $35,000 grant to promote travel safely to Mobridge. Within that grant, we're gonna be able to buy 10 hand sanitizer stations. In this outline that we were going to do, we're actually encouraging people that don't want to, are susceptible, are concerned about coming to Mobridge for the ice fishing tournament to not come. We're incentivizing them. We are still gonna send their t-shirts, their tumblers, they're gonna be eligible for the prizes still. But for those people that still wanna come to Mobridge and participate, we're not gonna run the same type of tournament. We're eliminating some timing, we're doing temp checks, we are doing masks, asking them to wear them, asking them to wear, our volunteers to wear them. Set up Sheer How as best as we can to make sure that we can distance as much as we can, given of how many people we may or may not have. We already set our RSVP for December 21st, so people can let us know if they would choose not to come this year. That'll allow us for planning. And those people that would choose not to come, like I said, they're still eligible for prizes. They're not gonna lose their spot. That's always the big concern for our anglers, is whether or not they're gonna lose their guaranteed spot. As far as the launch goes, instead of having 1,000 people within the Coke building, there's not gonna be that. It's gonna be one angler per team versus all anglers in there. I think we've really done, our tourism committee has done a great job. We spent a lot of time of trying to balance, right? It's about what can we do from an economic stimulus side, but also do it safely. And so I think we came up with a pretty strong solution of trying to keep our anglers safe, keep our volunteers safe, and keep the community safe.
What do you have for security, Jesse?
Security, we have 5 people. There'll be 2 upstairs, 3 downstairs on the main floor, and then we also have 6 spotters that are gonna have vests on.
Okay. Because I guess one of my huge concerns is, we've been diligent on, I guess, I don't know how to say it other than I don't want the police force involved, because you're gonna have 1,200 people potentially. We've got a dispatch center that provides 911 emergency for 9 counties. So yeah, I realize we can pick these comments all apart, but I mean, that's a monster risk. So anyway, that was just
In my world, Merit's called risk management, and you've got to manage the risk for your employees, in particular with the PD and that call center, so I totally understand that statement.
But the problem is if someone dials 911, a police officer will show up. So that's a concern. But anyway, I believe I sent everyone letters on, to address your issue, Tony. I sent out letters on the 60-day policy. I guess out of respect for you, I put this on the agenda to let the council discuss it and talk about it. So that's my 2 cents worth. So if anybody's got anything else.
Personally, I would like to see more security if there's any way possible. That's a lot of people for 5 people to maintain.
And we can try. Years past, we've had 2, so we bumped it to 5, plus the 6 spotters, so that's putting us to 12-ish. Honestly, if we have the RSVP numbers, we're hoping, honestly, the hope is to lose 10%. If we lose 10%, that cuts down a lot of anglers. The other piece that I forgot to mention is the amount of outside people that aren't in the tournament, not participating in the tournament. They're not allowed in the front door. That's 200 to 300 people that will not be coming into Sheer How Arena Friday or Saturday night. And we're actually redirecting our whole path, locking the doors as far as entry in, not entry out. Fire marshal, don't want to go down that road. I think we have our systems in place that, yes, things are gonna be a little slower than they have been in years past, but they'll be safe. And we're gonna make sure that, if you're running a 99.5 fever, you're not coming into Sheer How. That's just the way it is, I'm sorry. So we will be, and that's gonna be done by the committee, not a volunteer. That's gonna be a decision of ours to make sure that everybody within that building is under the threshold for fever.
Questions, comments? I guess I'll look for a motion one way or the other.
So moved. Second.
What's the motion?
The motion is to approve the Mobridge license transfer.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Heather, call the roll.
Carlson.
Yes.
Yellow Boy.
Yep.
Jensen.
Yep.
Reichert.
Yes.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Mound.
Yes.
Okay. No, you, that's set through the whole meeting.
Once you're here to stay.
Okay. Yeah, well, that was the main event. Okay, up next, NECOG. I'm sorry, let me get my page turned here. Approved NECOG agreement for 2021. It is the same agreement we approve every year. If you look down, our portion is $1,664.68. And the short of it is, as Heather mentioned, in the FEMA grant, that is TED. That's the short of it, if I'm correct. If there's any more you want to add to it, Heather?
No.
Okay. So I would look for a motion to approve our 2021 agreement for 1664.68.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Yellow Boy.
Yep.
Jensen.
Yes.
Reichert.
Yes.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Mound.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Okay, approve first reading of ordinance 985, supplemental appropriation. Looks like the total appropriation is $465,075. 455.75 is coming out of the general fund, with 10,000 coming out of the PSAP fund. There's all your itemized, budgetary expenditures on there, so, are there any questions for Heather? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the first reading of our supplemental appropriation ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Jensen.
Yes.
Reichert.
Yes.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Mound.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Yellow Boy.
Yep.
Okay, up next, budgeted capital outlay transfers. We do this every year. Looks like we have, 15,000 for the pool, 25,000 for the street department, 10,000 for fire equipment, and 50,000 for storm sewer projects. If there's no other questions or comments, I look for a motion to approve these capital outlay transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Reichert.
Yes.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Mound.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Yellow Boy.
Yep.
Jensen.
Yes.
Okay, up next, we have approved budgeted transfer out of PSAP to general fund in the amount of $230,000. I'm sorry, $230,961. That is our 911 center. So, if there's any questions, comments? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Mound.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Yellow Boy.
Yep.
Jensen.
Yes.
Reichert.
Yes.
Okay, up next, we have approved closeout of airport land acquisition project. Heather, did you want to hit the high points on that?
We're just closing out the airport land acquisition project.
Okay. All right, I thought there might have been more to it, but apparently not, so, well, all right.
It's over.
Well, I just thought maybe I had missed something in here, so, but anyway. If there's no other discussion on that, I'll look for a motion to
So
approve.
moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mound.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Yellow Boy.
Yep.
Jensen.
Yes.
Reichert.
Yes.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Okay, up next, we have approved serving 60-day notice to terminate airport management contract. Are there any questions or comments on that? I guess hearing none, I'll look for a motion to serve the 60-day notice to terminate the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mound,
Yes.
Landrieu,
Yes.
Reichert,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Yellowboy,
Yep.
Carlson.
Yes.
Okay, up next we have approved cemetery deed transfers. There's a cemetery deed in your packet. I'll look for a motion, let's go ahead and transfer that.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Landrieu,
Yes.
Reichert,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Yellowboy,
Yep.
Carlson.
Yes.
Mound,
Yes.
Okay, up next we have approved combining parks and street department. And it looks like we have some other business to take care after we do that, but I will look for a motion to approve combining our park and street department.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Reichert,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Yellowboy,
Yep.
Carlson.
Yes.
Mound,
Yes.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Okay, and now the changes here, so let's approve the salary increase for park and street superintendent, Ryan Anderson from 2409 to 2609, effective November 23rd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Jensen,
Yes.
Yellowboy,
Yep.
Carlson.
Yes.
Mound,
Yes.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Reichert.
Yes.
Okay, approved pay increase for Matt Reichert, street and parks, increasing his hourly wage from 1988 to 2018, effective 11/23 of 20.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Yellowboy,
Yep.
Carlson.
Yes.
Mound,
Yes.
Landrieu,
Yes.
Reichert,
Abstain.
Jensen,
Yes.
Okay, and then lastly, under new business, approved increase for Josh Fisher, street and parks, increasing his hourly wage from 1750 to 1780, effective 11/23 of 20.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Carlson.
Yes.
Mound,
Yes.
Landrieu,
Yes.
Reichert,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Yellowboy.
Yep.
Okay. That takes us to discussion and information items. Mask policy for city-owned facilities. Tony, I think you wanted to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay,
You know, this virus is like, you're talking about going around, we got people coming into our establishments, like here, I know the girl's got this door locked, she can't come back here unless they let you. But other places, like like down at the Shore Arena, they can come in, that's our building, that building belongs to, that's a city-owned building. But if you go in the chamber office, you can just walk right in, without a mask. And there's other people in there without masks. Now, it's up to you, I guess, if you don't wanna wear a mask, you wanna get people sick, that's your problem. But for me, I don't wanna get him sick, I wear a mask, I don't get anybody sick. And I don't want you to get me sick, that's why I wear a mask. And I think that we should have something that we, the city, should have in place, that we, all our buildings that we own, if you're in the buildings, you have to wear a mask. Because if you go anyplace else, you have to wear a mask before you go in. If I go to Bismarck, if I go to Menards, you have to wear a mask before you go in to shop. All those places up there, you gotta have a wear mask before you go in to shop. I know they escorted a man out there, that one day he didn't have a mask on, he kinda got mad about it, but that's what it says on it, before you walk in. Mask is required before you come into business. And that's my thinking about all our city buildings. Masks to be required.
okay, yeah, Tony, you and I must have been thinking about the same thing on the same day. We had that conversation, I had a conversation with Heather. We do have some city employees that are in contact with a lot of people. We do have some health concerns with our city employees, some of them. And we also have the concern, as I mentioned in the earlier tonight's meeting, you know, we do have a dispatch center and we have people coming in and out of there. But I don't believe, Sean, you kind of shut some of that off, not like the the PVTs, things like that. I mean, you're limiting traffic coming into dispatch. But anyway, I guess I'm not gonna I'm not going to say we need a citywide mandate, but I do think we have employees that are, in jeopardy, and we do have city buildings that we need to protect. And I believe the fishing guys, and they've already left, but I mean, they're willing to give everybody masks and make them, wear masks and all that, so that's my thoughts on it.
What does it take to implement such thing?
I think we have it in place already, don't we?
Is it in?
Well, the departments have been doing it. Chief Madison has been putting signs on his door, I think today, telling people if they come in to dispatch, they have to have a mask on. We've been doing it here for a month already, that if you come in the back here and you cannot be 6 feet apart, you have to have a mask on. And then we'll put one on as well when we're interacting with that person. Now, like the library, the librarians, they themselves wear masks, but the patrons are not required to. So that would be an area that we could improve on. I don't expect the employees in dispatch that can't wear a mask because they're on the radios, they're on the phones, that would be impossible for them to wear them. But it's just outside people coming in, is where my concern lies.
I've been a few places, for instance, I was in Omaha, and it's not too long ago, and their policy basically was for restaurants, when you walked in the restaurant, you wore your mask, you sit down, you can take your mask off. Servers all wore masks. I did a factory tour the other day of 500 employees in Iowa, and anybody that came in from the outside that factory has to have a mask on. Nobody inside the building did, but when we came in, we were a group of 10 people. We had to have a mask on at all times. So it's kind of a mixed bag of how things are handled, but when I come in here, they don't let anybody pass the front door, And I think that works for them, and I think that if you're curt on the water and sewer side, I think if you're going into somebody's house, you need to have one on, kind of like the Midco cable guys, When they come and do your cable TV or you come in your house, they have masks on. They have gloves on. But I think if you're in your shop, are you okay with the guys that you've been around? I don't know, John, what's the answer there?
I don't know there is any one right or wrong.
Yeah, it just, but
The more we can do it, the better.
But you can be precautious, and be I think, like John said, raising the awareness is bigger than anything.
Do we put signage up, at our public building, our city on one building,
Yes.
Absolutely,
we should,
yes.
you know what I mean?
So for instance, people that walk in the auditorium, do you require them to wear a mask when they're walking?
And see, that's what Heather,
And there's 4 people in there, and it's 20,000 square feet, and the ceiling's 25 feet tall,
that's what Heather and I had discussed is, if 2 people are in there walking or whatever, no.
Because
But-
they could be 6 feet apart, which
They
still
need
follows
to
CDC
maintain
guidelines.
distance, right, I mean, it doesn't matter if there's 2 people or 20,000 people in there, if you're grouped together and not maintaining distance.
Well, no, I'm saying if there's 10 people in there, keeping their 6 feet, they're cool, they're good.
So if you put basically
You know-
saying mask usage plus social distancing, if you can social distance, you know what I mean?
And I think if you're at the auditorium, let's use that for an example. If you have 10 people walking there, they keep their distance, they're probably fine. You get 20 people in there, maybe the people walking should be aware that they need to wear a mask. The awareness is a big part of the message.
I think that's what John's pushing. Can I talk about some of our conversations just a little bit, John? Okay. I guess kind of what was, made me think about this is, when you start getting into the political, and I didn't want to get into the political part of it. That's not it. I don't want to dissect it. But, if the mask, given our population and things like that, and if it'll even just hold the particles in you, they don't get on the librarian, they don't get on, the police officer, things like that. And I think, and even Dr. Marciano would said that, it's not I believe he said it's not a 100% fail-safe, no, but it will hold it inside you should you sneeze, cough, whatever. So You know, and if businesses wanna do it, that's their prerogative. But I just think, you know, in city buildings, and especially some of our employees, we got health concerns, they got immediate family health concerns. If we can give them that little bit of hedge, I think that would be something we could start to do on our end.
As individuals, we have a responsibility to look out for other people. You keep hearing about how these people being asked to wear masks, their rights are being violated. And you don't have the right to spread a contagious disease. You have a personal responsibility to protect other people if you are able to. And whether our city employees have health concerns or not, the people that come to visit them may. So not only will the masks help the city employees, but also the people coming in to visit. I just feel like as a community, we need to do more. We need to work together, and we need to try harder, because I just don't feel like as a community we have tried nearly hard enough. And I personally would love to see the local businesses require masks for their employees, especially when they're dealing with food or when they're going to be in close proximity to patrons.
But that's also your choice, you don't have to go in there. You don't have to go into a business that's not wearing masks, that's also your choice.
Right, but
So the choice of awareness is probably easier to enforce.
right, but what I'm saying is that I personally would like to encourage those businesses. I'm not saying they have to do mask mandates, but I personally would like to see that happen, because I am high risk. I have severe asthma and I have a heart murmur. I really don't want to get COVID, and I also really don't want to spread it to another individual and have them get sick. There are a few businesses here that they do have signs on the door saying wear a mask, and they do remind customers when they come in without a mask that they should be wearing a mask. And I feel like that as a community we could be doing more.
Okay. Any more discussion? So I
What
guess,
does it take to put a building into compliance by not wearing a mask inside?
In public
I mean,
buildings?
Not the employees, I want to say the ones that are coming into it, it's like
I think
he
we should
said about
suggest that they
putting signs up.
I would like signs up.
Yeah,
Because sign saying we suggest you wear masks in this building and keep your social distance. What John had just cited, those should be the 3 things we put up inside the building.
are you talking our buildings or?
Yeah, just like outside the auditorium, put that up there, so they're aware, or awareness.
No. But yeah, I just think if they're gonna come into the PD or to the library where they're gonna be right there,
Right.
both parties should have a mask on.
And I do
granted, they're
think-
not right here.
Well, like for instance, at the PD, they have that glass window when somebody comes in, so that keeps
Yeah.
them safe there. At the library, do we have a piece of plexiglass on the counter there?
See, I don't know. if
They
do or
do.
not.
They do, but,
So they're,
But
so
they're around the counter helping
yeah,
people.
that's what,
Right.
that's the part that, the library's pretty susceptible there. That's what I worry about too.
So that's what, Heather and I had talked about that, and then Tony called me, and then Tony wanted it on the agenda, so I thought I'd throw that up there, and, let's at least start the discussion for city buildings and go from there.
Like, as a starting point, like you suggested, putting signs up with suggesting, maybe so we can progress, if it gets worse, we can progress more. But, you know what I mean, but at least put that sign up like you said. Don't you think that would be good, Kyle, or?
Oh, absolutely, for myself, and this is just me, I changed my program, I ate lunch in Mobridge out every day at noon my whole life. I haven't ate lunch at noon in Mobridge at noon hour since last March. So I changed my program. I go in there on a Saturday morning, and when I'm out, I may go somewhere, I may go in there when there's 4 people there, and when I'm out, I changed my my lifestyle, because I don't wanna, like you, I don't wanna get it. I changed my program. That's part of the awareness too. Is maybe changing your habits a little bit.
It's not that you have to stop living, you just have to start living
Yeah, you gotta
differently.
adjust it a little bit. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it will get better, but we have to work together
And
to
just,
get to that point.
What we want to contribute to, and I think really what you're gonna see, again, very heartened to see all of you guys. So starting next Monday, in the reminder, we will have an insert for every single person that gets that next week's paper. We will have an insert. You pull it out and it says, prevent the spread of COVID-19, and it has the 3 W's on it. It doesn't say you must, but anybody wants to stick that on the refrigerator, anybody wants to stick it up on the window of their business, I think that would be fantastic. I think depending on how well or poorly it is received, we've talked about having like a website where, businesses through the chamber could say, I volunteer, nobody made me do this, but I volunteer for my business to follow the 3 W's. And so if you have comorbidities, or you can go over to the website and say, where are they looking out for me? I wear it to protect you, you wear it to protect me, where can I go? And so again, promoting local businesses, shop local, stay local, but also encouraging these positive behaviors that we know will reduce the risk of spread. So I think anything that you guys can do as a city, if you want to get on that website, if you want to put up the signs, or if you want to make different signs, I think it's fantastic. But I think you guys are leaders. People kind of know what I advocate for. I'm up here all the time, but when they see a Kyle Jensen, or Curtis Reichert wearing a mask, that's a powerful message.
And like for me, like at my lunch, I get it to go every day. I pick it up every day. I go home. So I just changed my lifestyle a little bit. I live a little bit on Saturday morning when I go in, but I changed my program.
but I guess we
I
don't.
think I lost focus of what I'm trying to do. I'm talking about city buildings. You guys are going all out to the
Yeah, no,
buildings.
But it's the big.
But it's
picture.
all
That's the big
related
picture.
too, I mean,
No, you're correct, Tony. We did get a little bit
Thanks,
off.
John.
The main topic of this discussion is, city-owned buildings, but I just wanna tie back in with John. And then kinda tell him, what him and I had talked about in our little discussion. COVID has what, a 98% survivability rate? Which, whatever, I'm not gonna get into that. But when the hospital's full, and you have another problem, not COVID related, and every other hospital is full, where do you end up? So anyway, that was just part of our discussion, we had talked about that, but
And Tony, to your point, I agree. I understand that you were talking about the city, but I think if you wanted to join that as the city, without telling anybody else, but saying, we, the city council, feel that city-owned buildings, this is a priority, I think that goes a long way.
I do feel like nobody wants to be the first to do it. I do feel like the city's setting that example and putting it out there that, we want you to wear masks for your safety and for the safety of our employees, their families, every other community member. That sets a good example for the other businesses as well.
okay. Any more discussion? Okay, the next item is audit approval letter. Looks like we will go ahead and publish it in the Mobridge Tribune, and our audit has been reviewed and accepted for the end of the year, December 31st, 2019. Next up, special council meeting, December 29th, 2020 at 5:30. End of year business, that'll include the second reading of our appropriation ordinance. Kyle, you wanted to talk about pickleball, it sounds like you already did, but
Yeah.
you wanna hit on that again? or-
We just want to convert a couple courts, get some more people outside. Like I said, I talked to some of the tennis people. If you don't know what pickleball is, you can YouTube it. It's a little slower paced, or a lot slower paced. It's actually, there's a lot of communities converting tennis courts to pickleball. Like I said, Spearfish put in 10 or 12 courts brand new. Aberdeen's putting in brand new courts. They're not converting theirs, but they're putting new courts in. It's kind of all over, so it's something to be outside and exercise with, and get more people using our facilities is what we want. We don't want them up there empty, we want them being used, and like I said, I had touched base with some of the tennis association people when that was in place, and they're for it. you guys will look at it a little bit and come back with some discussion or some questions. I said Heather and I should have some information on the next couple of weeks of what it's gonna cost and what the plan is, but, I think it'd be some, the tennis people were really excited about it, the ones that I talked to.
Okay. Next item, payment of bills. List of bills are in your packet, $389,183.34. If there's no questions, or if there are any questions, now's the time. If not, I will look for a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Carlson?
Yes.
Yellowboy?
Yep.
Jensen?
Yes.
Reichert?
Yes.
Landrieu?
Yes.
Mound?
Yes.
Okay, if there's no other business, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Yellowboy?
Yep.
Jensen?
Yes.
Reichert?
Yes.
Landrieu?
Yes.
Mound?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.